Intellectual property are creations of the mind, and there are many. So we have the artistic and literary works. Artistic works, if you are into art and drawing and portraits. Literary works, if you are into writing journals and novels. We have inventions. These have to do with patents. For example, if you're coming up with a light bulb or a computer, that is an invention. We talk of utility models, things like the ceramic jikos that help to enhance the use of energy. We talk of trademarks. These are brand names, slogans like Royco, Omo. The famous brand that we know is Coca-Cola. And we have other many commercial designs, but for purpose of our discussions, let's work with those. So these are intangible assets. They are non-physical. You cannot see them physically, but they are identifiable. Copyright is very tricky. And the advice is when you're going into partnership or when you are going into collaboration, then you need to ask yourselves, what is it that I have? What is it that I am bringing to the table? If you have work that you have created, my advice is do not just go sharing that work, even if it is a partner that you are entering into. Be clear that you would, for example, have what we call an undisclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement. I have seen a lot of musicians who, because of the need to have money, I'll be jumping, but allow me to just explain this. They do what we call, they assign their rights. They say, okay, this is my music. I don't have the money to produce it. So they are pushed by the funders to assign those rights. But you see, at that point, you do not know what is the value of your music because it hasn't gone to the industry. On the other under the other category, what we call the industrial property. In Kenya, industrial property is managed by Kenya Industrial Properties Institute, KCB. And under this, we have now the trademarks. Trademarks are the signs or the symbols that distinguish the work of one person from another.
Okay.
So, for example, allow me to use Coca-Cola. When you see that red sign anywhere, you know this is Coca-Cola.
Okay.
If you see, for example, the symbol for KTN or NTV, you are able to associate the business. Then we have patents. Patents, of course, like I said, these are inventions like Bluetooth. We have the light bulbs and others. We have utility models. I talked about that. We have traditional knowledge. Actually, now it's being recognized in Kenya, but this is still work under progress by KCB. And so a lot of these are managed and regulated by the Kenya Industrial Properties. Now, where is it? Yeah.
Carry on.
So for trademarks, let me talk a bit about trademarks because we are business owners. We have what we call the trademarks. The trademark deals with the product. We have what we call the service mark. The service mark deals with a service. For example, when we see Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa, that slogan is their trademark. Passion Profit is a brand. So when you are entering into partnership with somebody, it means there's a value. They are coming to you because there's value. And so those are things you need to use when you are negotiating and agreeing, what am I bringing on board? It could be my brand. It could be my service mark. It could be, let me use, for example, at some point, Kimbo is a trademark of Unilever. But for business purposes, Unilever has licensed Bidco to use that. So over time, as your business grows, there are different ways in which you can maximize your brand, your trademarks, whatever it is that you have intellectual property over.
And so that when that happens, money exchanges hands, right? What is the value of doing that? Okay, fantastic. So I'd like you to give us is it possible to give us because you've given us Coca-Cola, you've given us, what are they called? Unilever. Are there smaller brands that come to mind, or something that you can advise? Because somebody might be out there listening and saying, but Damaris, those are the big boys. Me, I'm just a small person. So these big boys started small. So what are the things that we need to take care of when we're still small to ensure that we are protecting our IP?
Thank you, Frida. I think currently we have gone into the space of technology, and technology is a place that has good positives and negatives. And we need to be very careful. For example, one of the challenges we are having now is let me call it conflict between trademarks and domain names. And it is advisable that before you, for example, register a business, you will have searched at the company's registry. The name will be available, but perhaps the slogan or the way you want to be known out there, the colors you're going to use, the way you're going to design your logo, you need to check if that is already in the market, locally or internationally. You can do some Google searches. You can do some searches through the World Intellectual Property Organization website. And then also confirm that your domain name is available, because right now people are being identified with their domain names. There is a way, if I see passionprofit.co.ke, that's passion and profit. It may not be a trade name, but it is a domain name. So even as we begin, protect what you already have, your domain name, your logos. If you're copyrighted, for example, if it is music, there are some rights that we say are automatic. If, for example, your music is original, it is creative, and it is in a tangible form, it has what we call automatic IP. However, we normally advise that you register it with KCB, and the procedure is easy. It's online through the KCB website.
What does KCB stand for? I can just put it here for them.
Kenya Copyright Board.
Copyright Board, okay.
Because then it is in their register, and they can be able to track and monitor for you in case of infringement. If you have the trademarks and there is infringement on your products, then you can be able to work with the customs department, and you can have goods that are counterfeits, that are eating into your own goods, stopped from getting into market through the counterfeit agency. So even as you start, think about what is it that I am giving to the market, and how do I protect it or preserve it, while at the same time ensuring that I get value out of it. So it is important that we understand trademarks cover a broad range of things. I said they cover signs, they cover names, they cover symbols, they cover logos, a number of things that are covered under the trademarks. And we can provide more details of what is encompassed in the trademarks. So they are very broad. And I said you can also be a service, and that would be registered as a service mark. We are finding a lot of professionals now are trademarking their logos or their initials, yes, for that preservation, so that there's no misuse of their names or abuse.
And because somebody is actually asking, somebody asked about, is the logo, what is the difference between a logo and a trademark? Somebody, while you're on the logo thing.
Remember, a trademark is something legal. It is that sign or mark or color. There's a broad definition of the trademarks in the Act. I don't know that I'll be able to get that for you. But that definition, that it must meet certain requirements in order for it to be registered. And for you to do that, you'd first do a search at KCB. They confirm whether it is available or not. Then they require you to produce that logo in certain formats. Again, it goes through a process of verification. So I can just have a logo on my letterhead, for example, but until it has gone through that process of review and approval and registration, it may not meet the standards of a trademark.
Okay. So a logo is not, a logo can be trademarked, but a logo is not necessarily a trademark.
Exactly.
Okay. That is what I've heard. All right, thank you very much. So we have two broad categories, and in the two broad categories, I'll just repeat what we have. Two broad categories. The first category is copyright and related rights, original expression. Regulator is Kenya Copyright Board. And then we have industrial property. Regulator is Kenya Industrial Property Institute. So now we are going to jump into the management. Let me see my questions here. The management of IP. How do we ensure that we are protected, Damaris? It seems like there's so many things to juggle on top of what we're already juggling as business owners. So how can we ensure that we are protected?
It's true, Frida. There's a lot that we are juggling, and we will continue to juggle because we are also in a very dynamic and world that is transitioning very quickly. Like I said, right now we have the issues of AI that is coming up and many others. So we have to be constantly learning. But I think for a start is know your assets. Do you know what you have? Okay. You say that you are the original author of a song, for example. Are you sure there are no parts of that song that were copied from somebody else's song? If you have the guarantee that this is your original work, it is creative, it is tangible, then once you know it is your assets, have it registered, have it entered in the National Register so that then it is protected.
Okay.
And like I said, when you're beginning to register your business, you are working on your logos, you're working on your websites, you're working on your domain names. Please do due diligence. Carry out searches. You can do Google searches. In Kenya now we have what we call the Kenya Network, the organization that deals with domain names, for example, in Kenya. You can go and search in their website and find out if the domain name you want to use is available. I recently attended a webinar under what we call the Lawyer's Hub, and I was very surprised when the lawyer presenting said she has registered 200 domain names because she believes that is the future currency.
200?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so do your due diligence, ensure that your trademark or your name, the domain names are available, they are not an infringement of somebody else, or they will not be confused with those of somebody else. Keep it simple, easy, in a way that people can remember it, they see it, they associate it with you. Don't be so complicated in a way that people will struggle to think and remember what this is. And then you need to have a way of being able to track or to manage. And I think, like I said, technology does help us. Constantly keep checking online who is using your brand. Are they using it with your permission? If they're not, are they infringing? But remember again, if you have not already registered it, perhaps they went ahead of you and registered. And if they registered ahead of you, then they will have claim. So very important. Timing is very important.